Hello, everybody. My name is Happy, and I'd like to welcome you all to my History Reaction channel. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Ranking the Crusades by Tom and Don. I have no idea which is which. I know absolutely nothing about this channel. Judging from this image here, I'm guessing that it is a not quite so serious channel. I could be wrong, and I'm fine with that. I'm also fine if this is just here for the laughs and for the fun. So, this is a viewer request, so I have no idea what to expect at all, but I'm more than happy to sit along for the ride and see what this is about. And as always, if you guys have requests, go ahead and send them to me. Right now, I'm more than willing to add requests to my list. The channel is getting big enough now that that's not going to last much longer at all. I'm rapidly approaching 400 subscribers. And every week I'm getting a little more than I did the previous week. And I think once I get over 500, I'm going to have to start doing polls. Because I am starting to get more and more requests. And it's going to get harder and harder for me to be able to do all of them. So if you have any requests, now is the time to get them in. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just dive into this. I will add what I can. I know a decent amount about the Crusades. Some more than others. So I will add what I can where I can. And if this is going to be silly, like I kind of think it is just looking at this, then I will try to present some actual history to supplement and or complement the jokes that they're going to be telling. And again, that's assuming that's what they're doing, but I get the feeling it is. Let's go.
The Crusades. Name a more iconic scene of history than tens of thousands of glorified peasants wearing 20-pound bucket helmets marching across thousands of miles of sand, hell-bent on putting millions of dirty pagans to the sword.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there because we've already got a couple of problems. And again, this is obviously going to be for humor and entertainment, not a serious discussion of history, and that's fine. I got no problem with that. I'm here for the ride. I'm perfectly happy to enjoy that. But my purpose is to present actual history. So let's break down what he just said here. Let's start with peasants, grubby peasants with big, heavy bucket helmets. Yes, there were some armored knights involved in the Crusades. Obviously, that's what we think of when we think of the Crusades. And some of the most famous knightly orders in history came out of the Crusades. The Knights Templars, the Knights Hospitallers, the Teutonic Knights, and dozens of others as well, all emerged from the Crusades, or as a consequence of the Crusades. So, yeah, there certainly were knights in shining armor involved. Later, you're going to get kings and noblemen involved at a much larger scale. But definitely, and oh yeah, you do have a lot of peasants. In fact, there's the People's Crusade, there's the Children's Crusade, the Shepherd's Crusade. Interspersed between all these numbers of crusades, there's a lot of other smaller crusades or co-crusade, I guess you'd call them, where peasants were the primary drivers of them. And but those guys wouldn't have been in armor at all, or if they were, it'd be very simplistic armor. Some of the nobles that were involved would have retinues that would have better armor, absolutely. But let's not get the idea that all the crusaders were knights in shining armor. A vast majority of the men that fought in these crusades would have been lightly armored, chainmail, leather type armors, or not armored at all. The knightly orders being the obvious exceptions. So let's get that out of the way. Number two, pagans, no. There were crusades against the pagans, but those come a little later than these early numbered crusades where you had all these that I'm sure we're going to be talking about here. Maybe they'll include the later crusade, but I don't know for sure. But crusades against pagans came later, primarily against pagans came later. The Great Northern Crusades, where you had groups like the Livonian Order and the Teutonic Knights crusading into pagan territories like parts of Prussia, Livonia, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, and so on, up along the Baltic coast region, the southern Baltic coast. And then later, you'll even see the Northern Crusades going up against the Orthodox Christians. And you'll see some of that in early Crusades as well, with Crusaders going up against Orthodox Christians, namely the sacking of Constantinople. The Fourth Crusade. You'll also see some Crusades taking on other groups like the Jews, but by far and away, the best-known Crusades, and certainly the numbered Crusades, the first, second, third, so on, were almost exclusively against the Muslims, with and anybody else that just happened to get in the way. But the primary goal for those was either to capture or hold Holy Land, the Kingdom of Jerusalem, or to disrupt Muslim power in the region. So that's kind of what we're talking about. Anyway, let's continue.
Sick.
So sick.
So sick.
But
Right.
did you know the same scene repeated about a dozen times over the span of 300
Oh,
years?
yeah.
Those stubborn pagans just would not give the Crusaders back their Holy Land.
When you say pagans, I feel like that's a very particular choice of word.
Well, there's a couple kind of pagans. There's a couple
Okay.
kind of pagans at play during this period in time.
Now, given the unfortunate, colossal scale of death, genocide, and tragedy associated with the Crusades, you might once again ask yourself, why would anyone ever make a video like this? And the
Okay.
answer to that is because the Crusades are sick. Stop
Yes.
being a crybaby, they're amazing.
Black Templars, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, National Treasure. Where would
Yep.
we even be today without all 9 to 14 Crusades?
Well, that does kind of bring up a valid point. And not just the entertainment aspect like Monty Python, the Holy Grail, or even National Treasure, where they're looking for Templar gold in the first one. Or Templar treasure, I guess I should say. But speaking of the Templars, for example, they're responsible for one of the first banking systems. That comes out of Crusades. Or not banking system, but like check writing systems, what we would think of as check writing. Because they set up a system where you could deposit your money in one spot, get a letter confirming your right to withdraw the same amount in a different location. So there were a lot of innovations that did come out of the Crusades. There were a lot of severe consequences that came out of Crusades. The Third Crusade sees Richard the Lionheart get captured and ransomed. It bankrupts England. That leads to the whole Prince John thing and the Robin Hood legend and all of that. You get in the Fourth Crusade, you get the sacking of Constantinople, which severely weakened the Byzantine Empire and helped usher in its death and collapse to the Muslims later. So the Crusades are very definitely various Crusades do have a very powerful impact on history and some of the institutions and customs that we have to this day. There's no denying any of that. And before I move on, I like this picture. That's a very nice picture. Very weird picture, but I like it. I approve.
Thank you, Pope Urban II.
I mean, it was literally a millennia ago.
This is a good way to start the video.
A millennia ago.
Well, 700 years.
They're both kind of right, but a little off. So if we're talking about the main crusades, like the first through, or the numbered crusades and the ones that happened in and around them, then we're talking like what about the very end of the 11th century, so like 1090s, up to about 700-ish years ago. So yeah, so about 950 to about 700 years ago. So about a millennium ago to about 700 years ago. So there's that big window. So one's just kind of at one extreme, the other's at the other.
Not quite. Not quite 1,000.
Almost a millennia. Imagine if I was like Romans, like enslaving my people, and you'd think I was stupid, right? Because it's so long ago. Also,
We just appreciate it's awesome.
it is
Okay.
awesome, and we'll explain thoroughly why throughout the video. Who gives a f? It was so long ago. Did you like personally go and put a bunch of people to the sword? No.
So let's just talk about it like it's a cool fantasy novel and get
Okay.
over ourselves.
So, with so many to choose from, the question remains, which crusade was the most awesome?
The First Crusade. First Crusade was initiated by Pope Urban II in 1095, urging European Christians to reclaim Jerusalem and the Holy Land from Muslim
Pagan control.
Back up. Rewind!
All right, let's go back to that. What did he say
Pagan
there?
control.
For legal reasons, Tom and Don will now refer to all religious groups involved as pagans to avoid any historical upset. Well, you know what? That's fine for them, but I'm going to call it what it is. Saracens, Turks, infidels, the Muslims. That's what the First Crusade is primarily aimed out against. Or at least that's the primary people that are in the way of the First Crusade, the Second Crusade, the Third Crusade. Should have been the Fourth Crusade, although they got a little detoured and attacked somebody else entirely, but that wasn't the original intent. They were actually going after infidel, Saracen, Turk, Muslim. There were a lot of terms that were used for the people they were fighting. Saracens comes up a lot. So does infidel and Muslim, of course. But occasionally you'll also see that the people that they're fighting were the Turks, even though as often as not, they weren't necessarily Turkish. They crusade against Egyptians, they crusade against Byzantines, and everybody in between. So, continuing on.
Motivated by religious zeal and the promise of land and wealth in conquered territories and making God happy, the First Crusade comprised a diverse group of knights and peasants.
When you say a diverse group,
Knights and peasants. 2 instead of 1.
pagans and diverse groups. This is an interesting reframing of this.
The Crusaders successfully captured Jerusalem in 1099 after a brutal siege resulting in significant massacres of the pagan inhabitants.
Pagan and pagan inhabitants.
The victory led to the establishment of several Crusader states in the Levant, including
That's
the
sick.
Kingdom of including the Kingdom of Jerusalem, which lasted about 200 years. This was the first and only successful crusade.
Oh, okay. Only if you measure on one criteria.
Yeah, successful how? If we're talking about achieving the stated goal of that crusade, then I would say the first was the most successful. When that Pope Urban II, initially called the Crusades, he had two primary goals in mind. He wanted to reunite Christianity after the Great Schism. He wanted the Orthodox and the Roman Catholics back under one umbrella, and he wanted to reclaim the Holy Land from the infidel, from the Muslims. So those were the two primary things: reclaim the Holy Land, especially Jerusalem, and bring the Orthodox back into the fold. So along those measures, he definitely succeeded in retaking the Holy Land, not so much in bringing the Orthodox back into the fold. Ironically, the Fourth Crusade actually comes closer to achieving the latter by sacking Constantinople and setting up a temporary government there that sort of reunites, but it doesn't last long, and it leads Constantinople and the Byzantine Empire weakened, and that'll hasten their fall to the Muslims. Anyway, let's see what else they got to say.
You forgetting about the sacking of Byzantium. You telling me that wasn't a success?
As the only time they actually got Jerusalem, it's got to go S tier.
Why did the First Crusade happen?
I don't know.
Why did it happen? I can answer that. Well, let's see if he gets an answer.
I don't know, just like look into it.
Okay, so I told you why the Pope called it, but why did people answer the call? Well, there were several reasons for that. One, and they kind of mentioned it earlier, was the chance for gaining new land, gaining prestige, gaining wealth, especially for second, third, fourth, fifth, so on, sons of the elite. They're not going to inherit because they've got an older sibling that's going to inherit everything, titles and land. So the younger sons are going to be looking for glory, prestige, wealth, and land elsewhere. And one good way to do that is in military service. And a crusade is really ideal because you can theoretically make a name for yourself, potentially gain a title of your own, land of your own. Certainly you have opportunities for looting and gaining wealth that way. So it's a great opportunity. Also, if I remember correctly, There was also a promise of if you participate in the crusade or if you contribute to this crusade, will be given indulgences, meaning you will be allowed, the Pope will put in a good word for you with God so that you have a better chance of going to heaven. It's brownie points for God, we'll put it that way. Now, when you get into something like the People's Crusade, which happened right around the same time, that's motivated by general bad conditions among the peasants. This was a period where you had a lot of outbreaks of plagues and other pandemics. You had some droughts and periods of famine leading up into this. So when Peter the Hermit comes along and convinces these people to help retake the peasants, to help retake the Holy Land, again, they see it as an opportunity. Going to fight to reclaim the Holy Land is much better than sitting here and starving to death or contracting the plague or just working myself to death on my lord's farm. So you see a lot of peasants also joining these crusades. And because they're doing the work of God, therefore they're hoping that it counts as brownie points for God.
I mean, you don't just have a crusade fall out of the sky and come from nowhere, right? Like, what happened before that made this, like, such a big idea that resonated?
Didn't wake up, like, let's go attack that alien city over there.
Yeah, that pagan city. All I'll say is, there were probably shenanigans going on from both sides.
And then we
Isn't there always?
surprised... I say we.
See, you're really undermining the point I was making earlier. Soldier of God, Don Gregor.
The cool, awesome Christian soldiers decided we're gonna take that back and surprised everybody.
Whereabouts is Jerusalem?
Pretty far away.
We're taking it back. That's always been ours. The cool thing about this one is the first one, right? Imagine you're a pagan. No, you're in the desert. You're sipping on...
Pagan juice?
Right. Wine is banned in paganity. Over the hill, you see men made of metal just start scurrying around building castles. You're telling me that...
And just swinging their weapons randomly at nothing. The Muslims at this time would have been well-armored and well-armed as well. Different styles, different weapons, and different technologies. But every bit of match for what the Europeans had, pretty much. It's not like they were what we would think of as pagans in the classic and derogatory sense as, hide-wearing, half-naked, often blue-painted savages living in the woodlands. No, these were advanced people who had excellent weapons, excellent armor, siege equipment, the whole 9 yards. They would not have been that impressed.
That's not sick. Imagine you're a pagan and you see that.
60 to 100,000 metal men.
Just fucking roll over the hill. And you're like, what's the...
And they all have sick matching outfits.
They took Jerusalem.
They wouldn't
I'm pretty
have.
sure with, like, lower numbers than the pagans had.
There's gonna be a lot of pretty sures in this video.
Dude, this video is built on pretty sures. And then there was supposed to be this giant counterattack. The Crusaders who took Jerusalem came out and to, like, face them. And by the grace of God, they defeated a much larger force. Bearing in mind, they're, 1,000 miles away from their homeland? This isn't like now where you can transport stuff. You have to fucking walk or get on a boat.
Across a godforsaken desert.
Just to take, like, a shitty city. Did they ransack a city and put multiple different types of pagans to the sword? Yes. Was it also S tier? Sadly, yes. People's Crusade, 1096. This is kill 'em all, right before Ride the Lightning. Because these guys were rough, raw, it was unofficial, it was just a bunch of random people who were just like, dude, you know what? I'm sick of whatever stuff led up to this that you should look into.
Disease, famine, primarily, and just poor treatment in general, and poor living conditions, you name it. Same old story.
Let's just go there and do something about it.
So this is before the first ever crusade?
Yeah, that's what, like I said, it's kill 'em all, right? This is gonna set up the next album, which is gonna be more refined and cooler, but still, you don't get there without this. A disorganized peasant force led by Peter the Hermit, preceded the official First Crusade. Unprepared and lacking military expertise, their 40,000 members, driven by desires for freedom and God, faced immense hardships. Before reaching the Holy Land, they attacked communities in France and Germany, resulting in thousands of missteps. They were decisively defeated in pagan-controlled territories of Zeragordos and Sivalot, suffering near total annihilation. The People's Crusade ultimately failed, ending in defeat and widespread loss of life. Tragic.
Yeah.
Truly tragic. Heroes of God struck down before their time.
Inspiring stuff.
It's at least 8 here. Cause
Yeah, they inspired 300 years of crusading.
yeah, dude, that's sick.
Awesome.
The Second Crusade, 1147 to 1149.
Not one of the better ones.
The Second Crusade launched in 1147, initiated by Pope Eugene III, after pagan forces captured the Crusader state Edessa in 1144. Led by King Louis VII of France and Emperor Conrad III of Germany, it was the first crusade led by kings.
All right.
Is kings leading the soldiers? Last time it was just soldiers.
Yeah, warrior kings.
Eventually, I need to do Crusaders Kings over on my gaming channel. I've been thinking about it, but I need to get a little further along in my current 2 games before I even consider that. But if you'd like to see a Crusaders King 3 playthrough on my gaming channel, let me know. I'd be more than happy to work that in the relatively near future. If you have a particular country or nation that you would like to see me try to tackle Crusader King 3, let me know. I've not really played it much before. I've dabbled a little bit, but I've never really made it past the first generation. And I really do want to do a full playthrough at some point and save the game and use a mod to transfer it over to Europa Universalis and up until the 1800s. So that'd be kind of fun to go from like the 1000s up to the 1800s in a single, starting with a single family. So if that's something you guys would like to see me do over my gaming channel, let me know and make suggestions. I'm game to try just about any country. I think it would be a fun challenge. So something to think about anyway. Anyway, continuing. But yeah, Crusaders King, we finally have some appearing. And we'll see a lot of them in the 3rd. Some big names. Frederick Barbarossa and Richard the Lionheart. What was it? Philip the Second, I think? Anyway, we'll get there.
Back when kings were sick and didn't just have like big sausage fingers. However, the lack of unity between their armies led to decimation in Anatolia due to ambushes, disease, supply shortages, and internal disputes.
That's going to be a common problem with these crusades, since they are more being called by popes. They're going to involve a lot of diversity in countries and nationalities, a lot of diversity in languages. So you're going to see French and Germans and British and various other Italians, Spaniards, all heading into the crusade where they're not going to be able to communicate well with each other. They're going to have their own individual objectives. They're going to have cultural differences. It doesn't work very well for getting armies to work together. You need a very special leader to make that happen. And you'll see this through several of the crusades. One reason why you see different knightly orders appearing, especially during the 3rd Crusade, is specifically because of this. The Knights Templar are formed, the Knights Hospitaller are formed, but they tend to primarily focus on assisting people of their own culture, whether it's France or the British or whatever. And you see groups like the Teutonic Knights are formed specifically because the Germans that arrive are having problems getting hospital help support from groups like the Knights Hospitaller and Templars. They're primarily French. So that's one reason you see some of these orders arising. But it is also a symptom of this bigger problem of different cultures, lack of cooperation.
Instead of recapturing Edessa, the Crusaders besieged Damascus, a former ally, alienating Christian support. Siege of Damascus failed. Within 4 days, demonstrating the challenges of large-scale Christian military coordination and the growing strength of pagan forces like the Seljuk Turks. Those crafty pagans.
Turks,
There was a little bit of a schism, a little bit of a fracture between the Crusaders. That's not so cool. That definitely like lowers it.
Second Crusade, You got kings, cool,
Crusader kings is sick.
but one of them's French and they can't get along.
One of them is French. Historians suggest the decision was driven by Damascus' proximity to Jerusalem.
Yeah, so they just wanted their stuff.
Oh, well, that's what Wikipedia would say. Turns out Damascus was held by pagans the whole time.
And they got rolled.
So, achieved nothing, but there were Crusader kings. A tier.
I wouldn't put it second that high. I'd put it B. It really didn't achieve anything. Yes, it had Crusader kings, but the third had much better Crusader kings, so I don't even think that counts for much.
That seems scientific.
I like that.
The Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192.
The Third Crusade. This one's
Third
sick.
Crusade.
This one's the sickest.
Tom thinks it's the sickest because it's got Richard the Lionheart. Next is the Third Crusade. Pope Gregory, I can't read Roman numerals, 8, started the Third Crusade.
The eighth, yes.
After the capture of Jerusalem by the pagan Sultan Saladin.
Saladin, the pagan.
In 1187, leading European monarchs to rally for a counterattack.
That's right, boys.
Key leaders of the Third Crusade included Richard I of England, or Richard the Lionheart, who was revered as a great military leader, winning 3 battles within the Third Crusade. Other figures included Philip II of France and Frederick I, Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire.
Oh, sick.
Though Barbarossa drowned in a river, severely weakening the campaign.
Not so sick.
despite success.
It's just laden with fucking armor clanking around in the river. Help me!
That is one of the accounts. So the death of Frederick, there's a lot of different versions of how he died. They all involve drowning, so that's the one baseline consistent factor. But according to some of the Crusaders present, some said he was down bathing, got swept away by the river and drowned. Others said he fell off his horse and drowned. At least one of the Muslim chroniclers said that he was bathing and got carried away by the water again and drowned. So we're not really sure how or why he drowned. We just know that that's what happened. But the details are pretty wishy-washy. There's a lot of different versions from people who supposedly saw it. So, but there is one that specifically mentions that he drowned because he fell in the water and couldn't get up because of his armor. So he's not necessarily wrong. We just don't know for sure.
Richard, help!
Did he get to fight or did he just drown?
It was a little deeper than I thought it would be. A drag current, Richard! Richard, help!
No.
Richard wouldn't have been there present at that point. But yeah, Frederick was leading a Germanic contingent into the battle. He died. Some of his Germans went back. Others continued on. And it's those guys that are going to help form the Teutonic Knights, or the German Order of the Knights, so on and so forth. It's got the official name is huge and long. Oh, people just call them the Teutonics.
The horse slipped while he was crossing a river in full armor. Dude, I was so close.
Did he even get to fight, or did he just have a sick nickname?
Frederick Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire. God damn. Tell me the Crusades are not sick. Despite his advanced age and challenges of leading an army across Europe and Asia Minor, Barbarossa organized and led a large German contingent towards the Holy Land. What a mensch, dude.
Sick. And then he drowned in a river. And morale was hurting.
Yeah.
If it could happen to him, it could happen to anyone.
You just imagine the word.
He was known to be a swimmer, so that's actually not a wrong way to look at it. If it could happen to him, it could happen to anyone.
Going through the ranks.
He died in glorious battle against the pagan. Like, well, he besmirched one of their rivers.
Poisoned their water supply.
That's right. Many a Saracen child will die this night. Praise to Barbarossa of Germany!
Despite successes such as the capture of Acre and other...
Acre is how I've heard it pronounced more often. Although I've said Acre myself sometimes, I probably will again.
Coastal cities, the Crusaders failed to recapture Jerusalem, though Richard negotiated a truce allowing Christian pilgrims to visit the city.
What? What do you mean he negotiated a goddamn truce?
That's some pussy shit, dude.
I thought he was the Lionheart! What the f, dude? D to F tier. Done.
I don't like that ending.
That's stupid. It's missing all the best bits.
Yeah. But Richard also gets captured He is ransomed that helps plunge England into a financial crisis. And that leads to the era of Prince John, brutal taxation, Robin Hood. You know the whole story. So I would say the third. Why are we all of a sudden down to the fourth and fifth? We haven't even talked about them yet. Okay.
Saladin and Richard the Lionheart, they're fighting in the Holy Land constantly. It's like a chess match. They're equally matched. They're outmaneuvering each other. It's intense. Both these guys are savages. They were on the footsteps of Jerusalem. Richard the Lionheart and his knights. Saladin was like, we have to leave Jerusalem. This guy is going to roll us. Okay, send the order to retreat. We're gonna have to give up the Holy Land. The knights stop. Saladin was like, what the f is going on? They never attack. The attack is called off. No one knows why. People probably know why, but I don't. They don't attack. Saladin doesn't leave the Holy Land. Richard the Lionheart gets bored, goes back to Europe, and gets shot in the heart with a crossbow from a guard on a wall. The end. Is it cooler than the Second Crusade? This is the first time we have real named characters.
Barbarossa drowned in a river.
That's funny.
Pretty funny.
It's got comedy, it's got drama, it's got rivalries.
We'd be crazy if it wasn't over second.
Yeah, because both had Crusader kings, but the third had named Crusader kings. And at least it didn't just flop and try and attack Damascus and lose.
Right.
Wow.
And plus you do have Saladin, who was a phenomenal leader.
Second Crusade kind of sucked.
The Fourth Crusade.
1202 to 1204. Called by Pope Innocent. That is such elite tier marketing. Think I'll call myself,
Look, the new Pope is chosen. Who did they choose to be the new Pope?
I think Pope Innocent is a bold choice.
Yes.
No one can be mad at that.
What is your first decree, Pope Innocent III?
Fourth Crusade!
Fair, but he's Innocent the Third. So there were other Innocents before him.
Immediately! The Fourth Crusade, originally aimed for Egypt, was diverted to Constantinople due to political and financial issues. Well,
Yeah.
I mean.
So keep this short, because if I try to correct everything or fill in every gap, we're going to be here for 10 hours. They were diverted to Constantinople because there was some internal division within the Byzantine Empire. There were rivals for the throne, and one of those rivals invites the Crusaders to come help him secure his claim to the throne. So that's what it was really about. But it gets out of hand, and what was supposed to be assistance in settling an internal dispute ends up in a complete sacking of the city and a temporary restructuring of the political and religious system in Constantinople. It doesn't last long, but it hastens the end of the Byzantine Empire by quite a bit.
That's kind of the same thing, right? Wait, Constantinople, that's Byzantium. That's Holy Roman Empire, that's Christian.
Not the Holy Roman Empire. That's totally different. Holy Roman Empire is primarily Germanic states with a few northern Italian states tossed in just for flavor. Byzantine Empire was the eastern half of the Roman Empire. Byzantines saw themselves as Romans. But we've covered that in many other videos. I don't think we need to go into detail here.
All right. Unable to pay their Venetian transporters, the Crusaders were convinced to attack the city. This brutal siege resulted in massive cultural and economic losses for the Byzantium Empire and exacerbated the schism between the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches. A largely ineffective Latin Empire was established in Constantinople until 1261, failing to reverse the Byzantium Empire's decline. So this was the
didn't reverse it, it hastened it.
Famous sacking of Constantinople, which everyone gets a little bit out of hand about. There's no way it's that simple. I refuse to believe they simply had too many debts and decided to rob someone.
It is a common theme in the revisionist history of the Crusades.
That's right.
That they're kind of a bunch of starving assholes standing around with their bucket helmets. Like, what do we do now?
What are we gonna do now? There's not many rabbits around here to catch.
It's a goddamn desert.
It's a freaking desert, dude. I heard the Byzantines were worshipping Satan. So, what the f are you gonna do? Let that be behind you?
Those god-accursed Eastern Orthodox Christians.
Imagine you're like going to Jerusalem and behind you is a Satan worshipping state. You're gonna leave that there. Okay.
Sacking of Constantinople, pretty iconic.
It's iconic and it's sick. Even just the name Byzantium That's rad. Sacking Byzantium, that takes huevos. That just shows that the Crusaders have still got it. Wrong target, yes, but still got it.
We're not putting pagans to the sword, though. Keep
Yeah.
it B tier.
Yeah, B tier Crusade.
Yep. I'm glad they knocked the second down to the bottom. I approve. Children's Crusade. Okay, this is a fun one.
Children's Crusade.
After the Fourth Crusade, the Rugrats had finally decided to take matters into their own hands. This actually happened. The unofficial Children's Crusade, led by two charismatic youths, a 12-year-old French boy named Stephen of Cloyes, and a 10-year-old German boy named Nicholas.
Dude, that is sick.
How does this happen?
That's what do you mean? How does that happen? They just have a French-German alliance, and there were two little boys, Don, that's me and you, who were like, "Oh, awesome armor and swords. We could go to the Holy Land and take it."
Yes.
That's what dreams are made of, dude. That's
I could see me and my friends doing that if we lived in that time. I don't know if we would have actually physically done it, but I could see us thinking about it quite easily. So, but yeah, the Children's Crusade, however, was not exclusively children. Like the People's Crusade, you're going to get a lot of peasants joining in and other lower class individuals, not just children.
Stand By Me 1,000 years ago. I love this.
This should be a movie.
Yeah,
This should be a movie.
It should be wholesome like Stand By Me.
Yeah, and it should teach like a lesson about killing pagans.
None of that bullshit about how they were misguided and...
Yeah, no, like this is, I love this. 12-year-olds aren't built like this anymore. Kids these days.
The two boys led separate bands totaling 20 to 30,000 unarmed children, driven by a naive belief that their innocence could reclaim Jerusalem. Where did 20 to 30,000 kids come from?
Dude,
It's...
sick!
they had help from the Pied Piper of Hamelin, of course. That's why he was farming all those children out of Hamelin. No, seriously though, it wasn't all children. Yes, it was led by a couple of very young guys, but what the makeup of the Children's Crusade was hardly all children. It was a mix of young adults, teenagers, children, and other assorted people packed in flavor.
Who knows? Who knows where they came from?
Unsanctioned by the church, this tragic movement saw participants die from hunger or shipwreck or sold into slavery, never even reaching the Holy Land.
Okay, well, was it misguided? Yes. Where were their parents? Another good question. But
Might
you
have been
can't
right there with
deny
them.
that a bunch of kids forming a crusade out of like wanderlust and just a good, healthy sense of imagination isn't a beautiful thing.
Do you think they had little costumes? Like they probably had
Dude,
little...
they must have.
Yeah, little approximations of Crusader outfits.
Yeah, they must have had little like Boy Scout sashes with crosses and
Wooden swords.
oh, dude. The best part is they deliberately disarmed themselves, thinking it's our innocence that God loves, which was swiftly taken from them. Just dripping with irony. What a tragedy! What a Greek tragedy! I love this crusade. This is my favorite.
This is your favorite? This is S tier?
It's not S. It's A tier. I love this one. It is a shame they all got taken as slaves and probably horrendous things happened to them, but that's the beauty of history. It happened so long ago. It's funny again.
The Fifth Crusade, 1217 to 1221. The Fifth Crusade aimed to capture Egypt, which was
Again.
key to controlling the Holy Land by weakening pagan powers before attacking Jerusalem. After initial successes, the Crusaders marched inland towards Cairo, but they were trapped by floods and defeated by forces of militarized pagan slaves known as Mamluks,
Dude, those were Lord of the
Mamluks,
Rings.
yep.
leading to their eventual surrender. The Crusades saw the involvement of many European monarchs, including King Andrew II of Hungary, who failed to bring significant resources or support to the effort. Despite the failures of the Fifth Crusade, the idea of attacking Egypt remained a central focus in later Crusades, as Egypt was seen as the strategic power base to pagan control. So we're kind of losing the plot a little bit
It seems like we did that by the fourth.
as Crusaders at this point.
Yeah.
We sort of forgot what the original target was.
Jerusalem,
Land.
yes. But have we considered Egypt?
We could put a cross.
Right on.
Well, if you capture Egypt, like I said, it opens the way. It's a good base of operations. Egypt is a breadbasket country. It'd be a good place to set up a power base in the region to help secure effort to reclaim the Holy Land and to hold the Holy Land, and to disrupt and break up power of some of these Muslim states.
On the top of the pyramid. People want to see it from all
I doubt it would have ever worked, but I can see what they were thinking.
around.
If in history they captured Egypt and put crucifixes, and that was like in the pyramid history, that would have been sick.
Based on that, then, you can't say that the goal was bad. They just didn't achieve the goal.
Mission failed.
I'm not mad at them attacking Egypt. Like, I would be tempted to attack Egypt too.
These are modern goals.
Yeah,
lofty modern goals.
These goals still endure.
Maybe rethinking this.
You could still do this today and it would kind of make sense. You don't want the pyramids? I want the pyramids.
I want the pyramids for Christianity. I think B. I think deciding, hey, let's get the pyramids.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And
Oh, no, see, it's not the Fourth Crusade.
yeah, it doesn't stand on the same footing as Constantinople,
Yeah, exactly.
obviously.
Do you know what you've really got to respect? People walked thousands of miles in tin armor 9 times. That is a lot of pick yourself up and dust yourself off.
A lot of them in the heavy armor wouldn't have been walking, they would have been riding, but
Quite literally. All right, well, I guess we should do that again. Like, you got to respect that.
Yeah, some of these are probably close enough together that it was like, my grandpa was a crusader. I want to be a crusader.
To be fair, that this is a period in history where your grandfather was probably 16 years old.
The Sixth Crusade, 1228 to 1229.
The Sixth Crusade is the biggest letdown on the list so far. It was led by Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II, who, unlike previous crusades, negotiated a peace treaty with the Sultan of Egypt to gain control of Jerusalem. Through diplomacy, Frederick secured the peaceful return of Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and other key sites to Christian rule.
Crafty
Without
German.
any military engagement. Frederick's success in Jerusalem was controversial. Many crusaders and the Pope believed he had betrayed the Christian cause by not engaging in battle to recapture the city. I vibe with that so.
and I think that is a sad reflection on Christianity, that you'd be upset that you achieved your goal through peaceful means. I mean, that is kind of the definition of Christianity. The other cheek of thy neighbor. Yeah, I would say his method was probably the most Christian method of them all. Go figure, right?
So hard.
That's so funny.
Not like that.
Walking back into Jerusalem salty that you can go back. Just like,
Oh, cool. I guess I can stare at all the stuff with no blood on it. That's cool. Sure wish I could have ransacked that. I've with the Pope on this one. Like, you're gonna take the Holy Land without force? Like, what's even the point?
how many Crusader skeletons are literally outside, just under 6 inches of sand, you know? From 200 years ago. Yeah, you're gonna come in and negotiate it.
It just takes all the fun out of it, doesn't it?
There's a reason history doesn't remember Frederick II.
The Germans, of course, would get their warlike reputation later in history. As Frederick II left for home after his triumphant entry into Jerusalem, a group of disgruntled Latins pelted him with meat and offal. And there were some Englishmen behind them licking their lips.
As far as I know, there's no liable source talking about him being pelted, but there are some accounts that suggest that. So it very well could have happened. But again, I'm not aware of any specific sources that are considered reliable first-hand accounts of that happening.
Watch our British Food is a Hate Crime video. This makes me drool.
There could have been, if you know one, let me know, but my understanding that's stories of that appear a little bit later from less reputable sources.
F tier. Just delete it from the list.
It's not even a crusade. It's
Yeah,
just-
Corgan in the bin, thank you. The Seventh Crusade, 1248 to 1254.
Control of Jerusalem and much of the Crusader kingdom was lost in 1244 when a combined force, including Khwarezmian mercenaries, sacked the city and defeated the Crusader army at the Battle of La Fourbi in Gaza.
Ooh.
The setback prompted Pope Innocent IV keeping it going. This prompted Pope Innocent IV and King Louis IX to launch the Seventh Crusade. Louis focused on Egypt.
Again?
Hell yeah. Even capturing Damietta, but his forces were defeated and he was ransomed by the Mamluks. Despite the setback, Louis was revered and later led the Eighth Crusade.
What? Based on that, I'm gonna go this is bottom tier, because I don't remember a thing you said, and you said it literally 30 seconds ago.
It's just kind of lame. F tier?
bottom of the
Yeah.
barrel. We are stretching the definition of crusade now. You got defeated and you didn't even have the good grace to die. So now you get to do another one.
Maybe his second try will be better. The First Shepherd's Crusade, 1251.
You can
Philip
immediately
Strikes
see why
Back.
they thought this was a good idea. Wasn't Joseph a shepherd? Yeah, bro. It's already written. You know why they did this. The 1251 First Shepherd's Crusade. First Shepherd's Crusade! A popular movement in northern France aimed to rescue King Louis IX in the Middle East. That guy's such a piece of shit.
I said
Led
Philip, I
by a
meant
man
Louis.
claiming a vision from the Virgin Mary, the group of an estimated 30,000, primarily young men and women, marched south, initially supported by Blanche of Castile. While initially not targeting pagans, they attacked synagogues and robbed pagan people upon reaching Bourgeois. Royal authorities eventually suppressed the movement. Wow, well, what can you say about this one?
When you're a crusader, clearly, it's very easy to get distracted.
Yes.
You're looking behind you and you got this giant army of 40,000 guys, and you're like, well, we could just bag a quick victory.
Just
right
one
there.
to keep morale up.
One for the road.
Yeah, you don't want to just march into the Middle East and fight Mumluks if you haven't targeted a few synagogues first.
You can't play the Super Bowl until you win the regular season.
That's a really good and culturally relevant point, Don. Thank you.
Okay,
Shepherds is not as fun as children.
I agree.
Synagogues, kind of an easy target.
Ow.
They didn't even get to the Holy Land, or
But
did they?
we do have a large army of adults that went and crusaded.
Based on one guy being like, dude, I had a dream.
The whole catalyst was saving that French asshole.
Where are we putting this? I think this is a pretty crusade. Let's just put it with the 8th and 9th.
Yeah, fair enough. They're not in uniform, you know.
Yeah, they're
Which
barely
has to
even
be
trying.
really funny. For example,
It is sort of funny.
but not just not funny enough. Crusade of the Poor, on the other hand, this sounds funny.
8th Crusade, 1270. It doesn't have an end date. Is it still going? The 8th Crusade ended as quickly as it started. King Louis IX tried another crusade, this time in Tunisia. Of course, Tunisia. Hoping to convert the ruler. But a plague hit them right when they got started, killing Louis and many others, ending French crusades and dampening Europe's crusading spirit. That's
That
gotta be
would do
rough,
it.
dude.
That's God saying enough is enough, guys. You're getting off track. You're not even doing what we were supposed to be doing in the first place, retaking the Holy Land.
You get hit by a plague, and as like a God-fearing man, you have to believe like if a plague comes and wipes out your general, God doesn't want you doing this.
Yeah, this King Louis guy, he tried twice. He tried his hardest. But he sucked so bad that he made crusades fall out of fashion. It is kind of funny.
See, that's what I was gonna say.
And you gotta respect, he went for it again and he died
he
trying.
died of plague and made crusading
Which is
outlawed in France. That's pretty funny.
It's iconic.
That is iconic. That's better than the 7th.
So probably D tier.
Yeah, I think that's a D tier. Good on him. 9th Crusade, 1271 to 1272. Not the
Short
most
one.
longest lived crusade.
The Ninth Crusade, led by Prince Edward, later King Edward I, was the last major crusade to the Holy Land. Edward's forces had some skirmishes and briefly took the city of Acre, but didn't gain much land. It ended with a truce, letting Edward go back to England to become king, basically ending the big crusades.
I guess that about accurately portrays like how people are feeling about crusades at this point. Who cares? Who knows what went on? This is boring now. It had a great run, 300 years. This one sounds like it sucked. I think it's another.
It's the way all sequels are, right? First one's usually the favorite. Second one, usually not so much, although there are exceptions. Empire Strikes Back, for example. Third one's usually a comeback. And then after that, they tend to just, yeah.
D tier.
The last two really sucked. Come on, guys. You didn't get anywhere. The plague, we gotta try this again.
We can't end on that.
But then he didn't even die in battle. They let him go.
Yeah, truce.
And then he just goes home and forgets about the whole thing.
And he becomes king. He could have, like, I don't know. Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead. Weird movie, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, kind of weak.
I would put it on the same list as the 8th.
Crusade of the Poor, 1309. The unauthorized People's Crusade of 1309, largely composed of lower classes with few knights, driven by religious fervor, adventure, and potential wealth. Lacking noble leadership, they relied on charity and plunder. often clashing with locals. In Avignon, Pope Clement offered indulgences, acknowledging their intent, but refused their integration into the official expedition. Why don't you think he just let him join the real crusade?
Clearly, none of these people can be trusted. Even the nobles and the professional soldiers are retarded.
Indulgences, or spiritual discounts, reduced penance for sins. Many eager individuals couldn't join the official campaign but showed their intent by sewing crosses on clothes. Clement's indulgences rewarded their sacrifice even if they didn't fight, benefiting their spiritual account. Without support, the march dispersed eventually.
A bit of a wet fart, this one.
Yeah, probably E tier.
They're poor. They did some sewing and they did what they could, but ultimately they did nothing.
Trying to get in on the righteous slaughter so they don't go to hell.
Oh my god, the shepherds are at it again. 1320. It's not a good start, Don. The short-lived Second Shepherds Crusade, beginning in France, always a bad sign, in June 1320, was initiated by a young shepherd claiming divine vision to fight Moors in Iberia. I respect this too, because this is like a little trip to Spain. This is a little boys' holiday. Little lads abroad. Composed of diverse individuals, including women, children, and clerics, they marched to Paris for King Philip V's support, who refused them. In Paris, they freed prisoners from the Grand Chapelle. The crusade ended harshly when Alfonso, son of James II of Aragon, dispatched authorities, leading to hangings, imprisonments, fines, and dispersal of its members.
So they go to Paris. He doesn't give them support, so then they go free a bunch of prisoners in Paris. They're kind of causing problems in Paris. And once again, it's like, wait, weren't we going to Spain?
In their defense, King Philip is clearly not a reasonable man. So how do we know those people even deserve to be in prison in the first place? If anything, these brave shepherds are freeing innocent men and then trying to go for the lads' holiday abroad to Spain to dust up the Moors, which you have to respect. Did the Moors have Spain before the Crusades happened?
The pagan empire.
The pagan empire, yes.
When did the pagan empire?
1711 AD.
Oh, they've
Well. What?
Yeah, the Muslims control Spain, well, Iberian Peninsula, a good chunk of it, up until they were finally beaten by the Reconquista in 1492. So yeah, it would have still been a pretty strong Moorish presence in Spain at this time.
Why did the Crusades happen? That's strange. It's almost like we didn't start it. Not we, but the people 1,000 years ago didn't start it. I like this a lot. This is actually quite funny. They're hating on the French. They're trying to go to Spain to fight. They're freeing prisoners. I kind of this a lot. I respect it.
Yeah, how quickly did this happen after the first one?
The first one's 1251, almost 100 years.
Respectable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't someone that just heard about it that just happened and said, oh, also I have a vision from God.
We're gonna win one for the shepherds. I'm putting this with the Fourth Crusade.
Shepherd that says he got a vision from God, that now the Crusades need to crush Spain. They go to France to try to get a bigger army.
That's my favorite part.
Which is a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Hey, can we have some support?
No, you're idiot shepherd. God didn't talk to you. Off.
All right, bet.
The Crusaders do a prison break.
Yeah.
They divert from yelling at the French king and do a prison break. Tell me that's not as good as sacking Constantinople.
You imagine the like army camp and the guy comes back from meeting the king. It's like, well, what'd he say? They're going for it? All right, so is it better or worse than the fourth? Constantinople.
I'm not going to besmirch the fine memory of all those who died by putting them up against each other. Rest in peace. Peace.
All right.
If you still crave endless wars and militarized zealotry, check out our video on how to get into Warhammer 40k.
Peace.
All right. All right. So I guess we're done. So we'll go ahead and call it quits here. That was fun. Interesting. Strange. But I had some fun with it. I hope I was able to add a little bit of actual history to the playful banter that they were doing between themselves. In any case, if you guys have any more videos of this type you'd like me to do, please let me know. Until next time, I'll see you all later. Until then, bye-bye.